Hello and welcome to episode 42 of Things I've Learned from Barry Harris. Today I thought we would talk about something that I pointed out in one of the previous episodes, but I kind of glanced over and I realized that there's a lot of questions about it, so we can talk about it. It's called pivoting, or what Barry calls pivoting. But before I get started, I just wanted to tell everybody I really appreciate all of the comments and enthusiasm about the channel, and I'm going to keep going. I'm just bringing that up because it's been about a year since I started making videos, and yeah, I'm really excited still to make more and coming up with many more videos in the future. So, but right to this, if we talk about pivoting, let me give you an example of what he means by it. Let's say if we were playing the bridge for I Got Rhythm. And the bridge for I Got Rhythm is going to be D7 up and down, G7 up and down, C7 up and down, F7 up and down. Okay, so one of the things we talked about was, well, what are some things that you have to know how to do on a scale? And we said, for instance, for D7, we said, well, you have to know how you do your scale up and down, scale in thirds, scale in triads, scale in chords, which is a triad but with an extra note. And down. Okay, so all those things are super important. Now the problem comes in on your guitar, for instance, if I started my D7 scale on the G string, let's say, and I was just playing the top three strings, and I played this as a D7 scale. Okay, we're good so far. I did it in thirds. Okay, I had to change position a little bit, but not terrible. Triads. Now already I'm out of position. Still out of position. Still out of position. Way out of position. Chords. I can only do up to the second one, and already at the second one I'm out of position. I'm in the next position. Now, saxophone players have a similar problem because they only have a certain amount of octaves they can play. So here's where pivoting comes in. So let's take just the first one, which is the chord up from the D7, starting from the tonic. And it's going to use four notes: D, F sharp, A, C. So the idea of a pivot is this. You start on the first note, and instead of playing the next three notes up from that point, you're going to play the next three notes an octave below what they were normally played. So this would be the normal way to play a chord up. Now I'm going to do the pivot. So what I did was I kept the D in the same spot, but now the F sharp, A, C, I played an octave lower. Now let's look at the chord from the second, which would be E, G, B, D. So I'm going to stick with the same idea, and I'm going to play the E here. But now, instead of playing the G here, I'm going to play it an octave lower. So the first one was this. Now the second one's going to be this. Now the one from the three starts on the F sharp. F sharp, A, C, E. We'll keep the F sharp where it was, but now we'll play the A an octave lower, the C an octave lower, and the E an octave lower. So now you got this. And if we did it from G, which is what we're up to, the G would be, so now it would be G, B, D, F sharp. But now we have to play the G here, but we're going to play the B, D, F sharp an octave lower. So it would be this. And so on. So I'll do them. So here's the first one. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. Here's the fourth one. Now let's keep going. Here's the fifth one. Here's the sixth one. Seventh one. And then back to the first one. Okay? So there are all of your chords on a D7 scale pivoted. So how do you use this? Okay? So let's try to use it in a line that conforms to playing the first part of the bridge of I Got Rhythm, which is D7 for 2 bars and then G7 for 2 bars. So let's pick any note. Let's start on the D. And let's right away do a pivot. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I did a pivot. And then I put 2 half steps between the tonic, the second and the tonic and 7. So let's see. So say 1, 2, 3, 4. And I also put in some 16th note triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's with no triplets. Now let's try the second. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I put in 1 half step on the way down between tonic and 7, but that's a pretty phrase. Let's try the third. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which was kind of nice. I did from the third, pivoted, and then when I got to the tonic of the D7, I came down. Really, I came down to the 7, and then I did one of the important arpeggios from C major, from the 7th of D7, which is pretty. But you see, now all of a sudden you start to create lines using these pivots. So let's say, let's start on the 5th, or the 4th. So there's another one. So we did the 4th. We pivoted. Now I did 2 half steps. Now I could have came up diminished. Watch this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which is a pretty phrase. But you know what? Why don't I pivot that diminished? So here would be a diminished from the 3rd of D7, which would be F sharp, A, C, E flat, right? So now we got this. So now I'm going to pivot that, which means I'm going to hit the F sharp here, and instead of playing the A here, I'm going to play the A an octave lower. And I'm going to end up on the 5th of G7. So let's try that one. 1, 2, 3. So it works really beautifully. These pivots work so well to change up your playing instead of playing everything, in one direction. It really causes you to change your lines around. So let's try the 5th. That's a nice one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Also pretty phrase. Now, you can also start to build lines like this. Let's say if we wanted to do, let's say my target note is the 5. How about if I just started on the 6 and came down and put 1 half step to get to the 5? See, that's a nice one too. I just put 1 half step. Because I knew the note that I'm going to get to before I pivot is the 5. And I knew I wanted to pivot a chord from the 5. How about if I start on 7? It's a pretty phrase too. So there's all these different ways to approach it. You can decide like, well, when I get to this, See, I happen to do this one a lot. The one, I mean, I'm guilty of it. From the 7th, which is a really nice one. Or, oh, sorry. So I do that one a lot. So let's say if I said 1, 2, 3. I like that one from the 7th, so I tend to overuse that. But if you do different things to it, like a half step before it, then you can change your lines up a little bit. But so that, I'm thinking at those points, I'm going to trigger a pivot. Now, like I said, the one from the 7th, I generally tend to overuse because it feels good, it sounds good, I already know what it sounds like, but you have to make all of them feel good and all of them sound good. And then just throw that in as part of your improvising. A nice way to do it is you take, let's do the one from the 5th, let's say. Now do the same thing from C. So we did it on D7, and then we surrounded, and we didn't play much on G7. I think we just played the 5th. And then we did the same phrase we did for D7 on C7. Which is also pretty. But see, these are all little things to teach you how to improvise. And to teach you how to change your phrases up. Create new sounds in your head. Create new little patterns in your fingers, which are, the fingers are really the worst things in the world because they only want to do, Barry used to say this all the time, they only want to do what they feel comfortable doing. So like I was saying, like I like the one from the 7th. I do that pivot all the time. I probably do it too much. And probably if I listen back to myself playing, I would hear that way too often. So you want to get used to a lot of them. This way you can play any of them at any time and choose to pivot at any point you want. That's the obvious goal to get to as an improviser, where you're really not even thinking about it, you're just doing it. Yeah, so I think that's good enough for this lesson because the pivot itself can be used for any scale. We happen to be using it for D7 scale. You could use it for harmonic minor scale. You could use it for major scale, 6th diminished scale, whatever scale you want to use it on. And practice pivoting in different spots of your instrument, especially for guitar. I know these are important for saxophone too, and saxophone players do it all the time, but guitar players really need to do it, and piano players obviously need to do it also. So, okay, I hope you enjoyed this last episode, 42, of practicing pivots on I Got Rhythm Bridge, and there should be a lot more posting coming soon. And again, thanks again for my 1-year anniversary that just passed for making videos, and hopefully there's going to be many more to come. Thanks again. See you guys soon.